Hello everyone, good morning from India and welcome to the fifth day of Tech Week series. Today we have with us our expert speaker Mr. Mithun Ghosh. Mithun is the staff data scientist at Intuit. He is a machine learning research scientist with 15 years of experience in machine learning model building for various industries. His areas of expertise include machine learning, natural language processing, large language models, document understanding, and other mathematical modeling techniques. Today, he'll be sharing his views and insights with us on the topic artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. The future is now. Hi, Mithun.
Hey, Ajkar, thanks for the nice introduction. I hope that I'm audible. So today I'm not able to share the screen. Can you please make that PPT? Yes, now it is better. Okay, so just a brief background that I am a staff data scientist with Intuit and working on artificial intelligence in industry for quite some time now. So today I'll be discussing about artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. All right. So I would expect, any clarification question in between or maybe after the session, anything is okay. So today's session is, that it is, hugely loaded topic. Artificial intelligence itself is such a huge thing, and then cybersecurity, covering to the details may not be, the best objective for this 1 hour session, but I would love to give basic understanding, like how this artificial intelligence, what is artificial intelligence is, and how this is helping us in cybersecurity. Now, when I say helping us, it is helping and also it is creating challenges for us. Of course, because I'll of course come to that. So there are good actors who are also using cybersecurity uh, tools to mitigate the threat, and also there are bad actors which are using artificial intelligence to create more trouble in the system. So before I start, let me go through the agenda for today's talk. Okay. So first, I will be giving maybe 5 to 7 minute introduction about what is artificial intelligence for the crowd if you have not gone through, or maybe you are not familiar with artificial intelligence. Okay. Then what is cyber security as such? Okay, and then we will be saying that, so see, artificial intelligence and cyber security are two distinct fields. Of course they are being connected today, since artificial intelligence allows us to use lot of data. It allows you to automate lot of patterns but in general, cyber security is another set of, another field where there are different threat patterns. And those threat patterns, of course, one might say that, can we solve it without artificial intelligence? Yes. So we will be first talking about what are the threat patterns, how artificial intelligence is helping solve them. Then what are the components of defensive cybersecurity, like how the good guys use cybersecurity and how they mitigate the threats, and what are the expectation, like when you would be or individual would be building a cybersecurity system, or maybe a team managing a cybersecurity system from the defensive side, what is the expectation from them. And when I conclude all of them, then I will be bringing AI in cybersecurity. Okay, so then how artificial intelligence and cybersecurity is kind of mapped. Okay, then I will also be saying that, as I said, that it's a two-way sword, right? That artificial intelligence is helping us to automate a lot of the cybersecurity tasks, like detecting the threats, automatically, real-time recognizing the viruses or other malicious element in the code. But again, one might have to reckon the fact that even those same tools can be used in against our advantage. Okay, so basically the threat actors or the bad actors can also use ML and AI to modify those viruses in such a way, or maybe the malicious Trojan virus or any other, bad things, so that it can attack in a very different. The attack vector can come from a very different direction. So it will allow the system to be, fooled by different means. So we will talk about that. And then for the defense side, that what are the tools being used to mitigate that those kind of threats. So basically first thing is that wherein cyber security AI is being used, and how we are using this AI first, particularly in cyber defense. Okay. Now, of course, all the things comes with its own challenges and benefits and challenges. AI also has its own challenges in using in cyber security. I mean, not AI in general. Of course, AI is helping us to do a lot of things, but we will be only focusing our discussing on the challenges using AI for cyber security. Now, I'll start with artificial intelligence definition. Now, what is artificial intelligence or what is AI? Like, since this is a buzzword, maybe everyone is aware of the Chat GPT, right? That is an AI system which can write human-sounding words. It can answer pretty much anything. Basically, it's a very nice search system, right? So basically, it can scrape all the data and it can write sentences on its own. So basically, it can synthesize the sentences. So those so AI essentially, I would now come back to the AI part. Okay. Now, when I say AI is essentially some intelligent system which we can develop with or without machine learning. Okay. What I meant by is that there can be expert system where there is no machine learning. The term machine learning would be coming after this. I just wanted to emphasize on the fact that there can be expert system, like for example the elevator management software, that is an AI software, but it's not a machine learning thing. This is an expert system where maybe rules are coded. So artificial intelligence can be of anything, like it can allow the computer to take intelligent decisions at some point of time. So that is the artificial intelligence system in simple word. Now, what is machine learning? This is a subfield of artificial intelligence. And within machine learning, we can expect within machine learning, given the data, computer automatically learns the rule. Okay, so computer automatically learns the rule how to be intelligent over a period of time. So given a task and given a data, the experience which we have to learn, that will go better and better over a period of time, and that is the definition of textbook definition of machine learning. So that essentially means if we have to do, let's say, some classification, like is that a fraud customer or not, it is this particular thing a cat or dog. So we don't need to specifically write that, if it has whisker, if it looks like that, then it's a cat or something. So machine will be automatically looking in the image. It will automatically, detect the features, and then automatically it will classify them. So now when we say machine learning, there are two major subfields. One is supervised and another is unsupervised. Like the example I have given. Now, a transaction, whether it's a fraud or not fraud, in security context, cyber security, code, is it a malicious code, or it's a okay code, it's not malicious code, that can be defined. So those kind of thing, when there is a one or zero or maybe one, two, three kind of decision has to be made, those are called supervised learning. Here the only interesting thing is that you don't need to write explicit code about it. You have to give computer the example that some feature, and whether it's a malicious or non-malicious, and based on that computer will automatically learn the function. One more thing I would like to mention here, when I say machine learning, just go to a little bit on the etymology side. Here the machine does not means that working machine. Machine means essentially a mathematical function. So what we are learning is a function learning, right? There is another set of machine learning called unsupervised learning, correct? So unsupervised learning is when there is a no level given. For example, in again the security context, so there are a lot of requests are coming. Okay, some of the requests might be malicious. Okay, so they have a different pattern than usual request. Okay, so maybe somebody is trying to do some do try to get unauthorized entry to the access systems. Okay, or maybe some file system. So those kind of anomalous records would be coming, and we don't need to explicitly write the code. we can write machine learning program in such a way that it will be automatically be learning, and it will be able to detect that, hey, these are all the anomalous observation. Now, within machine learning, today's world, neural net comes. Okay. Now, other than neural net, there are different types of machine learning. Regression is one example. There are class boosting, bagging, random forest. There are many. I am not going to name them here. But neural net is essentially there is a complex set of interconnected node that is designed by taking the inspiration from human neurons. And what it does, it can do classification, regression, everything, but again a specific type of structure and specific type of learning methods. Okay, when I say learning methods, that means they have a way of upgrading their gradients. Mathematically they are all like, something to similar their learning process, so that is why they are called neural nets. It's a subfield of machine learning. And when you have neural net which is essentially deep, more than two, three, four layers in between, that is deep learning. Now, of course, it is a big thing. I am just trying to tell in 5 minutes time. I mean, don't get little discertain. The idea is that what I mean to say is that artificial intelligence or machine learning, sometimes both of them are used interchangeably. I am just trying to make the groundwork, correct. That this is some way by which we can make the computer take intelligent decision most often than the not, like 95% of the artificial intelligence machine learning, where we don't need to write explicit code. And that is something which will be giving us an advantage in cybersecurity, because we will be dealing with millions and billions of observation every day. So the idea is that we cannot automatically look into all the specific things and code by ourselves. Machine learning will be giving a helping hand to automatically detect and create things for on our own. Okay. And so this is the landscape of artificial intelligence. Now there is something called reinforcement learning, which is part of the learning process. I did not mention it, but reinforcement learning is a little bit more advanced, where we need to take some chain of or sequence of decisions, where we will be optimizing the policy. I'm leaving it aside, but whoever is interested, they can take a look later. Now, having said that, we get some idea that artificial intelligence is essentially creating an intelligent system in the computer, and mostly by automatically let the machine learn. And we have framework for them, and those are called machine learning frameworks. Okay. Now, what is cyber security? Okay. So, cyber security, this refers to the technology associated with protecting the devices which are connected over the internet, right? So today's world, internet has created a revolution. I mean, so starting from the handheld devices to computer, there are billions of network, billions of devices which is connected over the internet. So technically, any of the edge device or the handheld device or anything where the user is sitting, they can connect to any other of the devices, right? So basically brings in the scale and the requirement why this cyber security is so important. And so when you have so many devices are there, of course, like, in general society, there would be bad elements. Similarly, there are bad actors in this interconnected internet world. Now, what we essentially do, we have to protect our hardware, software, data from those bad actors. How they can damage us? They can go take unauthorized access. They can probably break in, and then steal the file. Maybe they go to the bank server. They will try to get the user ID password downloaded if it is possible. I'm just giving a naive example, which is very difficult to do that. Then they can, idea is that they will be doing something which is ethically or legally not allowed, and they will be doing it for their own advantages. And advantage essentially can be anything. Okay. So different kind of threats you can expect. One is hacking. Hacking essentially means that someone is trying to get unauthorized access in your computer. Okay. Malware is something where within the software there will be some small code would be injected. That code would be doing some bad things. For example, you would be running an application. Maybe that malware would be sending some important data, right? Maybe uh, they have created one application which looks like the bank website. It copies the user ID password, and in the back end it makes a call, and this user ID password is sent to some other server where the bad actor would like to save them and use it for later. Okay, phishing essentially sending some files and then try to do something out of this. And ransomware is essentially where you take control of somebody's computer or other computer systems, and usually ask for ransom. Okay, that hey, I will only let you use the system if you pay me that kind of ransom money. Now our goal is to always identify this kind of actors and I mean predict them so that we can stop them before they do things. Sometimes they can tamper them. Sometimes, let's say, out of malintention, they can destroy the whole data set. Let's say you are running a software, maybe some internet company like some e-commerce company or something, and you have all your customer data, transaction data is saved. Some mal actor can come and maybe they would like to destroy you for different intention. So these are the things we would be stopping. I have already spoken about this hacking, what is hacking, malware, phishing, and ransomware. I'm not going through this again, but this is like this is by the way, this is not an exhaustive list. So in security threat pattern, when I mentioned these are the most most um commonly seen pattern, but there can be other things possible. So that is why just to give an idea that in our ML, I have just said that there are supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So some cases the threat pattern is something that you will not be seeing it beforehand. The unsupervised is something which would allow us to detect those kind of pattern as well. Okay, like every day all those bad actors are thinking and planning for doing something new. New means something which kind of attack which you have not seen before. And so maybe in the third pattern you will see that some other names will be coming up. Now, having said that, this kind of threats you are expecting, what is the expectation from the defensive cybersecurity? Like if someone has to run a cybersecurity security firm, or maybe some user, or maybe in a company, if there is a cybersecurity team, what are the expectations from them? One is application security. Essentially, just nobody should be able to conk the main application, the main software which is running the business. Second part is the data security, wherein you would be able to maintain your data safely and securely, so that it is no unintended user is allowed to get access to that. Then network data security, so that there is nobody gets hold of your main network. Fourth thing is that if at all everything happens, okay, then how you recover the disaster. Business continuity planning, so that this is also one of the peripheral angle of defensive cyber security. Business continuity planning. Next is operational security. You can always think of that, how you make sure that your overall regular day-to-day things are maintained. Cloud security, infrastructure security. So these are all different expectation. Physical security essentially means that nobody is entering to the office and physically try to get access and damage things. Critical infrastructure means most of your, for example, let's say you are a e-commerce aggregator, right? So your critical infrastructure would be, let's say, your order management system. You have to make sure that maybe only select few of the of your employees get access to that, and those are very critical infrastructure. And of course, this one of the part of this cyber security is the education. So you will be having a bunch of employees. Some of them are, let's say, well aware of the security, but not all of them are aware of the security, right? So just to make sure that everyone takes the cognizance, because you can see that it's not like one versus another. It's like all of these things has to happen together. If one of the link gets broken or one of the link can be breached, that means your entire security is gone. Just to give an example, let's say the organization has very nice software system. They have best of the world virus detection system, malware detection systems, and all of it. What happened in physical security world? Maybe some bad actor send some pen drive to using one of the employee, and that employee maybe opens or maybe put it in the system, and then malware automatically takes control of the system. Like this is like one single weak link, and then entire security is gone. Similarly, like one phishing attack can. So basically, this education is very important, that everyone has to be aware and everyone has to take ownership of the cyber security. Now, I would of course just repeat one thing on this defensive cyber security expectation. Again, this is very related to the what I have already spoken in the last slide. Okay, so I have already said that what are the expectation from the team. So I will be right now telling that what would be they would be doing in terms of regular day-to-day activities. Correct. So one is that they would be protecting the business against cyber attacks and data breaches. Okay. They would be protecting the data network. They would prevent any unauthorized users or hackers. Okay. uh, there can be multiple unauthorized call can be coming from different servers that they have to always only accept those calls. Maybe some DDoS attacks are coming, so many calls are coming from particular server or many number of server that can basically choke your system. You have to make sure that you will filter them and you will not even allow them to hit your end system, which can damage your network. Or maybe someone is trying to do penetration testing. Means that some hackers, they're using different tools and different manners to do penetration in your maybe some system where they want to get so there's a master user access. So you have to always prevent them. Then the last slide, I said the business continuity plan. This is essentially this, that reduce the recovery time after the attack. Okay, so if something happens, how can you fall back? You can sort of make this thing localized, that again should not damage the whole system. So faster recognition and isolation of the attack is also important thing. Now, protect the point devices and user endpoint devices. That means if any specific things are um, uh, sort of attacked by the virus and got tampered, so you need to clean them up. Then regulatory compliance thing, you have to make sure that some compliance audit is also necessary there. That how these systems are being maintained across the organization. Is there some, so essentially some already some malware is sitting out there without anyone's notice. So this kind of things, this is essentially the regulatory compliance or audit checks. Then so then when I say this reputation of the organization, what happens if you don't have the essential or so that the required cyber security? So one is the reputation of your organization will be gone, and the confidence of your user or the customer will also be going along with this. Just take an example. For example, let's say bank. How the bank works? Bank works on the trust of the individuals or rather the customer. Like everyone is sort of complacent in keeping their money in the bank by thinking that it is safe. They don't always think about it that this will be stolen or something else. But if some data breach happen, that takes a huge role on the business and the share. The valuation of the company, the ability of the let's say company or the team to mitigate any software security or maybe the cyber security threats. So it is very essential that we should be maintaining a strong security uh, system, so that it allows us to maintain the reputation of our organization. Correct. So these are the couple of things I have said. I will probably take a little bit pause and we'll check if you have any question till now, and then I'll again proceed after that. So till now, I'm just reiterating what I have already said. What is artificial intelligence? Okay. Now, artificial intelligence, I have said that it is essentially some smart. It's essentially some program which allows computer to take smart decisions. Okay. Now, most often than the not, artificial intelligence means machine learning. And what is the subfield of machine learning means? Where we learn those rules or rather the smartness in the computer from the data without someone explicitly programming it. Correct. So this is called machine learning. And then we are saying telling about other part of the story. So AI part is there, and there is the cyber security part. So cyber security, I have right now till now sort of given a definition, and what are the cyber security team and what is the expectation. What happens if you don't have the cyber security, like why as an organization you should be thinking of having a cyber security team, or maybe reputed cyber security team required, right? So that you can maintain the security of the system and the reputation of your organization. Correct. Now I am connecting this AI and cybersecurity, both of them together. I'm just repeating for the folks who has been introduced to AI, let's say in today morning or evening time. Now AI, as I said that, or AI or rather here I'm essentially meaning machine learning. Okay, we can learn rule, or maybe we can say that we can learn the intelligence from the data. We don't need to explicitly code them, right? So, for example, I have given one small example that the bank is trying to give loan to the customer. So, some would be fraudulent customer, some would be not. Based on the past data, we can always build machine learning model. Again, machine means function here. Okay, so some mathematical model which would allow us to recognize or maybe predict or prescribe that someone who is going to be fraud or not. So the same example, if we bring into cyber security world, so there is a thousands of lines of code which is being checked into your company system, right? And you wanted to build some automated system which allows you to before even a code is committed, you will do some code analysis. Now, one who is coming from software background, they knows that they know that the code can be of various length, like maybe thousands of line, and it's all like benign looking. Usually, like there is nothing. Nobody will be telling that this is a malicious code or something. Let's say you have downloaded something from some open source. Okay, some open source package. Some of your employee is using it. Then once you just checked in, the malicious element of the open source code also being checked into your office, or maybe your software, right? I'm just giving one example since I'm coming from into it. For so we are if, like fintech company, of course, that we serve the small businesses and the consumer taxes also. Now, what happens? You can understand that since we deal with financial data, so our security is very important. Now, many a cases we would be using, let's say, some of the open source packages. Let's say for our front end development, we are creating some banners and all. Maybe we use some front end. I'll not be telling that what packages we essentially use, but idea is that we there is fair chance that some of the component has used some of the open source code. Maybe some tool is there, some maybe Node.js file we have downloaded from the libraries, and that has small code injected. Correct. That injection is that it will only be uh, capturing the user data, and maybe once your software is running, it can create a small background application, and it will be sending the data back to some remote server. Definitely then we need to use AI there. Correct. So because nobody is going to check those maybe thousands or millions of lines of code. Correct. In open source, maybe in some package somewhere it is written, so AI can automatically scan them. So we can build a system which can say that, hey, this code is malicious code. On that code is malicious code. Maybe sometime, let's say you get some files, right? Because you are this you might have seen that when you are sending something over a Google or Gmail, correct? So Gmail essentially scans any file, scan for threats, viruses, or anything, right? So there you can expect that this that Google essentially goes through the entire code, and they have, because it's not any human who is checking whether it is a malicious or not. So after checking that, they will be giving a go ahead that it can be taken. Or maybe some of the time they always make a mark that if they can put it in a junk file if they realize that it's essentially is a virus or something malicious. Correct. So I hope that this example helps. So essentially what I tried to say is that some cases we might need to let's say see some code. Maybe some cases the requests are coming, that also we need to see that whether this request is a valid request or not. Just to give an example, let's say at some every day at some point of time, let's say 9 o'clock, you see that there are some million clicks usually comes, right? All of a sudden, for that time point, that click number has been increased to 10 million, correct? So there can be two possibilities. Okay, so one is that you can refuse to all those extra clicks. You might say that, but those might be a genuine click as well. So there can be false positive situation and false negative situation as well, right? So if you do false positive, like someone who is authentic, and you deny them, it's a bad experience, right? And false negative is even challenging when you allow something which is, let's say, malicious to come ahead and use the system. That can do even further damage to the thing. And of course that it's like humanly not possible. And even if you, let's say, write some rules, human, like hand coded rule. Now, of course, one thing. Okay, let me come back to this rule part. When I say cyber security, before AI also there was cyber security. Like you can always write some rules, right? That if this has this XYZ things, based on those handcrafted rules, it will recognize that it's a valid thing or it's a malicious thing. But what I mean to say is that these things are evolving every day, correct? Because there is a massive growth in the connected devices and the data and the way the requests come, way you can write the malicious things. So, I mean, you will not be able to cope up by writing rules, and the rules is sort of unmanageable after some point of time. It is very difficult. You have to probably write some 10,000 rules. So there, AI would be helping you to streamline the process and create some automatic system which can learn that which is the threat and which is non-threat based on the past data. So which is called supervised learning. And definitely there is anomaly detection, which is unsupervised learning. If you don't get those terms immediately, don't worry. I mean, so the supervised and unsupervised, maybe I will be telling all of these terms. I try to explain them, but yeah, you can probably ask me question if any of the things are not very clear. Now I would be telling, I have anyway mentioned this before, that AI is not essentially a panacea for this cybersecurity world, right? It's not that it's doing all the good things and so after some development of AI, all the threats will be just simply go away. It's not. The idea is that the reason being the AI tool which our cyber defense or maybe the good guys have access to, even the bad guys can also use AI, right? The malicious actors. They can use and they can use this for their advantages, and then yours this all those attacks become even more sophisticated. So one of the example I would be I have a picture I'll be showing it in the next slide that is called adversarial attacks. Okay, so so adversarial attack is essentially on an ML system only. Now I'll probably break down here a little bit. So this I'll just take this point and I'll explain this in the next slide. What is adversarial attack? Okay, and when I say ML system, that is it on the security or is it what? Then social engineering process improvement. So improve social engineering process. So for example, what is social engineering? So social engineering means scraping information about oneself from different things and then use it for your own advantages. Because just pick up one user, and we would love to know about that user. We scrape all the possible social media, get their name, phone number, and all these things, and try to. So then, the first idea is to let's say name and phone number, then go use those email ID, phone number to get some of the websites. Most easiest website, break them, okay, or maybe hack them. If you get password from those sites, there can be possibility or likelihood that same password has been used in other places as well, right? So that way we can get access, and then synthesizing profile. What I mean to say is that sometimes you can synthesize profile using AI, like get scrape that picture from some place, create a Facebook or maybe some Instagram profile, request your friends, maybe money or something else. But the idea is that it can be used in creative way and for the bad requirement. Okay, so basically one can ask for money, one can do some reputation damaging and all of it. So in between, there is some AI technology I would love to mention, which is very much in demand these days, called deepfake. Now, deepfake, this is a generative AI algorithm. Okay, what is generative AI? Now, there is one branch of AI which allows us to generate maybe the text, audio, video, image, name anything. Like you ask the computer, hey, draw me a cat. It will be drawing a cat. Let's say if I tell someone's voice, that some user's voice has been given to the computer, and ask them, hey, mimic this voice and tell this thing, correct? So then it can mimic this voice and maybe ask someone of your family for ask for password or OTP or something else. So this is something that called deepfake. This can you so you maybe you can just do some search and you will see that there is a deepfake video where Barack Obama is saying something. So idea is that anyone can be impersonated today with some small computer and not much compute power. So I mean to say this kind of technology is at everyone's hand. So hackers are also using them. There is document fraud. If I tell that hey, create a password, maybe one passport or maybe some this card or some government ID using this photo and this, it can come up and do that. Then generative AI, this Chat GPT, which I just mentioned. So one of the branch of maybe the Chat GPT background technology called GPT 3.5 or GPT 4, right? So this allows us to write nice sounding English, and whoever has used ChatGPT or any of this kind of tool, they can relate to that. How easy is to create fake news? You give it a story and then ask it to narrate it by the way you want. So you will see that there is a very nice fake news has been generated. It's very difficult to make. In fact, fake video can also be created where some some newspaper person is reading a story of some fake news, correct? So these can be used to manipulate private public opinion. This can incite the act of violence. This can be used to harass individuals or groups over social media. So I am just showing you some of the areas where AI is actually making more damage by giving great tools to the threat actors, right? Another thing is that ML helps in quickly adapting to the target environment. So, for example, you are also building the individual cyber defense team is building target environment and automatically changing. What these hackers can also do, they can use machine learning again to auto learn the target environment and make the attack in such a way that that can masquerade it and allow them to achieve the target attack objective very fast, which by writing hand coded rule is very difficult. Now, I was telling about this adversarial network, okay, and in the last slide, I said that I will be the data poisoning thing, okay. So I will be explaining this data poisoning and its solution both, okay. Now, AI, of course, is like bad actors are using AI. Now, I'll be talking about the good actors, how they are using AI. Correct. Now, first time I'll be taking this adversarial example. Okay. Now, what is adversarial examples? So, adversarial example is some examples which allows the computer to, or rather, which makes the computer to take a wrong decision. Okay. Now, what system here I am talking about? Here again, I am talking about the ML system. Okay. So, since I'm talking so many things, I'm just trying to unfold these little bit. Let's assume that you have a cybersecurity system, which I already explained, and that is using artificial intelligence. What it is doing? Using artificial intelligence, it is detecting whether the code is malicious or non-malicious. Don't look at the picture. I'll be coming to the picture after this. Now, the way computer decides something using neural network, it is very difficult, and it sometimes you will not be able to explain it. Okay, explainability is not there. You can inject some random noise, and that would let the computer say that hey, it's not a ransomware. Then how to save from this? So I have taken one example. So this example has been taken from Ian Goodfellow's book. So I told about this supervised learning. Okay, when we detect something, let's say here, is it a panda or is it not a panda? So the left hand side picture you can see, we can clearly recognize it's a panda, and the right hand side image, exact extreme right, you can see that that is also panda. Now human eye can make this difference, but the way computer makes the images, or maybe the computer way it gets trained, not all the models would be able to get the difference. Why? Because in between the left hand picture and plus we are injecting some noise. So essentially, what is a picture? So basically, it's a picture of maybe 28 to 28 um, pixel blocks, which is a matrix, and each block has three values. Each of those pixel, red RGB, and based on that you have learned a neural network, and that has different weights, and based on the weights it will be generating some numbers, and based on those numbers you will be telling it if it is more than this, then I'll be telling it's a panda, it's less than this. Now the featureization can be tampered by very small adversarial noise which has been added in between, correct? And that is making the computer take the wrong decision. So when I say the data adversarial attack, so this is one of the case the adversarial attack is coming. So one of the things, by the way, I forgot to mention in the last slide. So another most important thing is that in today's world, not necessarily for cyber security, for any thing or everything, all the organization are using machine learning for more and more use cases. Another kind of attacks which are coming from in the cybersecurity world is to tamper the data, like so that you learn something, misnomerly. For example, if you are a bank, you are trying to see, fraud or non-fraud. You can just add some noise to the data, and then make this whole system go wrong. Like the fraud will be given loan, and maybe non-fraud will not be. So fraud actor that way they can get past. They know that this is the system which is taking the decision whether loan has to be taken or not. So they inject something in the data, and that way it can be. So this is called data poisoning. So data poisoning and this adversarial attack, both I am showing. But again, along with adversarial attack, there are ways to tune ML, which would help us to safeguard against this kind of attack. Adversarial, tune machine learning. Um, I can maybe explain it further, but I know that this can be a little bit complex for whoever is listening AI and cyber defense both at one go. But nonetheless, to simplify things, I would tell once again. So there can be two attacks which can come. One is the data poisoning, that is like tampering the data. Second is that while you are making the prediction, you add some small noises, which is adversarial noise, and that would make the system do some wrong prediction. So from the defense side, we need to make your ML model good enough to take care of those kind of this data poisoning, so that that on the right hand side also it will still be detecting it as a panda and not a gibbon. Second thing is that malware detection, right? So this example I have already told. So for example, that you are letting computer to check whichever code is being committed every day, and it goes through line by line, and from each line it tries to maybe detect malicious code. For example, just to elaborate it further, if let's say somewhere it is creating some server which is, let's say, unknown domain or something, you can always write those handcrafted rules. But let's say you create a local server, and that is calling some that server to the another server and all, those would be very difficult to code manually. So those can be recognized using AI. So classifying the malware in real time, recognizing the virus, bombs, and trojans. So what we have to do, we have to show some past data of virus, bombs, trojans, and the normal code, and then we will be creating a classifier which would be uh, detecting it with high fidelity. So at real time, you can automatically flag certain things which you not allow to pass through your network. So this is AI for cyber defense. Uh, to add to that list, there are additional things: network traffic analysis and anomaly detection. Anomaly detection, I have given a little bit of notion. So, for example, in a certain time, certain day, maybe some of your servers are getting a lot of traffic. Okay, and that has certain pattern that it is coming from certain geography, or maybe something you are able to uh, sort of uh, localize them. So those kind of analysis can be done using AI, and then AI will automatically be able to tell you that hey, this kind of things are quite anomalous, and this particular IP is making so many calls to this server which is not required. Then you can block those things, and automatic. All of these are automatic, right? Then real-time threat intelligence. I have just told a little bit about it, but again. It is just that threat intelligence is not necessarily does not mean only the virus detection and all. It can be anything. So sometimes maybe user is coming valid, and they are trying to, let's say, learn the let's say, pull the data, scrape the data, correct? You have to stop them. Maybe they are there are some automated system which is trying to, let's say, log into your system multiple number of times, not using any browser but automatically. That is also part of the real time threat intelligence. Then last things which I would say, AI assisted penetration testing and vulnerability management. So penetration testing is essentially checking that if you have any loopholes in your user management, right? So that can be tackled using this AI. So that hacker does not get any access to any specific part of your computer network, because unless and until some just to give an example here, let's say log4j. Okay, the log4j error maybe you might have heard in couple of months back, correct? Now before this came up, nobody knew that this is a vulnerability and this kind of errors are there. So because doing a lot of penetration testing using AI and vulnerability management, so in principle, we they could realize before the hackers can get to that. This is a big challenge, and that's why they have got a fix for that. So basically, proactive fixes in your code, even from the open source and even in. So it is always a game between the good actors and the bad actors. Like you always have to do those testings and vulnerability management to make sure that you're safeguarding and there is now no loopholes are there. Now, when I say this about this AI for cyber defense, one thing one might have to recognize the fact that this is not the complete list. Okay, the list can be very yes, I mean very, I mean it can be very long. Okay, but I have pointed the most important thing. I mean those are the things will give you a good start in this field if you want to take and appreciate that what are the complexities are there. Now, the last topics of today's lecture, I would mention about challenges. Okay, so machine learning is usage. You have seen that it is a two-way sword, right? Um, of course, the hackers are also using, or the bad actors are also using it. Uh, they are using AI to do a lot of sophisticated malicious code, which can automatically adapt to the system and then do a lot of things. It can create a lot of fake data, deep fakes, and destroy somebody's image, credibility, steal money, and all of it. And definitely that our good actors are also using AI to solve mitigate those cases. Now, when we say AI, what are the challenges? So now, one thing also to mention before that, when I say challenges using AI, so you would see that the AI can always be, or rather, the precursor of AI always used to be the rule-based system, right? So rule-based systems are also an intelligent system because you can always write some rules which can take some decision. So at some way, even your rule-based system can also be a I mean intelligent system. I would not necessarily tell them artificial intelligence, but yeah, some of the expert system can also be artificial intelligence system. But in general, the AI which we are referring here interchangeably, as I said, that AI is machine learning for our discussion mostly. So this is very complex and costly system. One is that, for example, any large AI software which can scrape massive data and all. So you need the CPU, GPU support and all. Your usual compute cost is very high, and plus it is very complex. Debugging of the code of the AI code is essentially very difficult. Usually it requires your deep software understanding and your mathematical understanding. Even with the understanding, also sometimes uh, the solution can be not interactable, right? So that means it cannot be solved. Basically, you cannot get a optimized thing. So, so that is why maintaining them and upgrading them and to adapt them is a very challenging thing. Another thing is that getting the right resources for who has great understanding of the cybersecurity plus artificial intelligence plus mathematics and all of it is difficult to get. Now, any AI system is as good as the data provided, right? The garbage in, garbage out, one term we say. So that means if you given quality data, AI can learn wonderful thing, right? And if you give bad quality data, it will not be able to run something. In fact, when I was saying the data poisoning is essentially the same thing. If you give make the system learn from bad quality data, it will not be able to learn anything, right? So you have to always make sure that your system always gets the quality data, and since the system is always evolving, if one of the system is let's sensor is not sending the right data, your data can be the data can actually go very bad. I would say that. So you have to always be dependent on quality data. Third thing is from the AI system is the lack of explainability. Correct. When I say explainability, when something happens from using an AI system, a decision has been made that something is anomalous or maybe something is a malicious code. The explaining that becomes very tricky part because AI tools usually do not come with an auto explainability, right? it it need not say that hey, since it is calling the outside this server, that is why I am calling it. And so it will just give you essentially, let's say you use some AI tool like maybe boosting techniques, okay, one of the supervised modeling technique, or maybe logistic regression and something like that. So mostly you will be getting some numerical score or probability, right? Higher the value, greater the chance. Lower the value, lesser the chance. But more than that, sometimes it's very difficult to tell that why is it so. Of course, it takes into account multiple accounts, multiple variables jointly, and based on that, it gives a score. But various times it is difficult for human agent to understand why something is behaving in certain way. Then false positive and false negative rate. This is another challenge. So basically, AI system, like I said, that it will be giving you some score, and based on that score threshold, you will be classifying something as threat or something not threat. Now there are two kind of error can happen. Okay, so you have said something as threat, but it is not a threat. Then it's a false positive, correct? And cases some not threat has actually, so actually threat has actually passed as not threat. That is a false negative. Now both has its challenges. Some cases you have to actually reduce both the error, but you cannot reduce both of them together. So you need to pick a threshold which is great for your use case, and oftentimes this makes it becomes very difficult. Okay, because there is no guidance given for that, where you should be. Because if idea is that if you make your precision very high, what will happen that so only few of the cases it will be saying as false positive. So that means what will happen that you are not stopping the right traffic, correct? So that is one good thing. But in that case your recall would be lesser. That means not all you are tracking, so some of the threads are actually getting passed. Now if you reduce the precision, so that means your false negative will then go high, and what will happen in that case, you would be telling everything as a thread. So you will be even tagging some of the let's say right thing as thread as well. So that is another challenge. With this I tried to explain about AI and cybersecurity based on my understanding. I hope you guys have enjoyed. With this I would like to say thank you to everyone who has attended, and you might reach out to me by Slack, or I have my social media profile in LinkedIn and all. So please get connected. Especially with AI, I would love to have discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mithun, for a wonderful session. So we have some questions if you would like to answer those.
Yeah. Is a cybersecurity domain different from machine learning domain? No, not necessarily. So machine learning and cybersecurity are two different things. We are using cybersecurity use cases using artificial intelligence. I hope that I've explained this thing. but I'm just repeating. Is it possible to detect cyber attack before they happen? Yes, I have also mentioned that in one of the slides. I hope this has been answered. What is the success rate of using AI to detect cyber attacks? So Log4j is one good example I have given, but generally there are other examples. So AI with cyber security, it is an useful and it is a successful field. Is say cybersecurity different from machine learning domain? Or this I have just
These
explained.
are repeating questions.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's all. There is nothing which I have not answered. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Mithun. I hope all of us have learned some aspects of artificial intelligence and
Yes, I
cybersecurity
think it's
today.
a big field. I hope that if it gives you some interest, so that you explore it on your own. Now, artificial intelligence is something it requires you like years of honing. Similarly, cybersecurity. So, I would only say that this should be successful if you get some interest out of this discussion.
Definitely. So thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
for
Mithun.
like organizing this session. I really loved it. Yeah.
Same here, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving us your time.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll be back with some amazing sessions again. So stay tuned. Thank you and have a good day.
Yeah. Bye.